record, so it's recording now. Okay, so welcome to another edition of The Featured Business, and our guest today is the lovely 𝗬𝗢𝗨𝗥. Vidal?
Correct, Vidal. Very well pronounced. I'm very impressed, James. Very impressed. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. So Happy New Year to everybody. And this is our first one of the year. So it's every Friday between 2 and 3 o'clock Central European time. You can all be guests. If you've already been a guest, then you get a nice badge for that. If you haven't been a guest, then come forward and you can be a guest. And it's every Friday, so for 1 hour special spotlight on you, and to help you create some visibility, and also to identify who's making that noise.
Somebody has the mic on.
Paul. Right. Okay. So yeah, the spotlight is on the featured business. You don't necessarily have to have a business, but it is about you, and basically you in 𝗬𝗏nest, to create some visibility, awareness of who you are, if you've got any challenges or problems, how we can help as a community, and if not as a community, then how we can help you individually, how you can maybe help us with your business, and just about networking and helping one another. Right, we all have, the more diverse the business type, the better. So it's interesting for the listeners, and yeah, it's about bringing value to one another. So I guess that's clear. If you've got any questions, you can ask them as well. So because everybody wants to know who is behind the business, then the first part of this is really about Eva, or the guest in this case, and then find out a little bit about them personally, who they are, where they're from, where they're living, any kind of family things or things that they want to share. And then we switch to the business, why about their business, and then we open it up to the audience for a Q&A. So you can ask the audience, Eva, you can ask the audience questions, and the audience can ask you questions. So there might be some obvious things I don't ask because I want to make it interactive. So the whole idea is interactive sessions. There's no point just attending if you're just going to sit there and smile. It's about joining in. So it's all about getting value from this as well. So the more you ask and the more you interact, the better it is for you as well. So without further ado, and this is co-hosted with 𝗬𝗏nest. So I encourage also people outside of 𝗬𝗏nest to come onto this, because this is some value that we bring within 𝗬𝗏nest. And yeah, I don't know if Ida or Victoria, you just want to say something? We typically have at least one representative from 𝗬𝗏nest here, Victoria, and they explain a bit more about the platform. Oh, nice.
Victoria is representing us today.
Showing off that logo there.
That's a beautiful standard.
With 3.
So
Victoria, would you like to say a few words about 𝗬𝗏nest?
Yeah.
Yes. So 𝗬𝗏nest is an all-in-one platform for entrepreneurs, and what we do is we bring entrepreneurs with the support they need. So we want to connect everyone in one place, because in today's world, everything is scattered everywhere, and you might be looking for, I don't know, partners, investors on like 5 different platforms, but we want you to be able to just come to one place and find purpose-driven people and ambitious people to connect. So that's what we do, and we're very happy to have James Moffat hosting these sessions every Friday, because I've been joining for the past 2 or 3 months, and every time I see a lot of people, and it's really nice to see engagement and people talking about themselves and also connecting with others. So that's also what we want to do on 𝗬𝗏nest, is to have very active members just helping each other and trying to support each other's businesses.
Very well said. Thank you.
Excellent. So for this first part, we just, to make it easier and not to have any background noise, we just say, if people can be on mute. The spotlight's going to be on Eva, so we're going to learn about Eva. I know Eva is only recently joined 𝗬𝗏nest.
Yes.
And maybe you can say how we met, actually.
I think that we met, this is very interesting, because I joined an event in Internations, which I couldn't actually attend. And all of a sudden I get an email, a message from James saying, thank you very much for attending my event. I would like to know if, and I was like, did I go to this event? So I had to go back and to discover that I didn't go. And that's when I sent you a message back saying, oh, I'm very sorry, but I actually could not make it for the event. But, if there is information of this being recorded, I'm more than happy to go through it. And you send me the links and it all started there. I watched the video and then you told me about 𝗪𝗔𝗫, what it is about. And it's a little, family group on Fridays. And pretty much that's what motivated me. I think that the warmth that you transmitted was the first thing that I welcomed and led me to join this little family on Friday, which Maya was the one talking about herself that day, wasn't she? That was my very first Friday and I really enjoyed it. I met very nice people and I discovered that it's not so much about the quantity, but the quality of the people. And when we are together, that means that we have something in common and we're open to share and to receive. And I find that extremely valuable. So, that's what I really like. Then I joined 𝗪𝗔𝗫, I think it was it in November? Very recently. So I'm only now surfing through the web and finding out things. Every day is a new thing. Get excited about it, and just trying to meet like-minded people. And I think that this is a good way. And I believe the fact that it's a great platform to meet other people, and through communication and engagement, we find those that we have the same wavelength, and who knows, we can probably build something together or be of support to one another, which I am very much for that.
Okay, excellent. So yeah, a newbie here. So there's lots to learn, and as we said with 𝗪𝗫𝗪, there's Q&As and everything every week,
Yes.
so you can learn a lot. So a little bit about you then. So Eva.
Okay, I will say my name is Eva Vidal. I'm originally from Spain, from the north of Spain, a city called Bilbao. So most of the times when I say the city name, everybody say, oh, Atlético de Bilbao, because we have a very good football team, or we had. So yes, that's where I come from. I am the only girl and the eldest of 3 siblings. The others are 2 boys. And I think that marked me as a person because I am very protective and also very responsible. So I have like a huge load over my shoulders as a result of that. My dad is an electrical engineer. My mom is a housewife, and she dedicated her life to bring us 3 up and stay at home, which I really value. My dad obviously had to work, and the dynamic at home has marked my life to a great extent. What else can I say? I'm a very observant person. I don't particularly enjoy to be the focus of attention. I like to listen. I like to help, to share. For me, communication is extremely important because like I heard a coach saying, communication is like oxygen to life. So I do agree with that, because unless we interact, there is no possible way of making anything grow for oneself and common as well. So I love sports, outdoor sports. I like reading, writing, painting. I'm very much onto arts and biology, chemistry, nature. But as I grew up, my life path changed. And at that time, I wasn't very aware of it. And I was just pretty much following what my parents encouraged me to do, or they thought or believed that was best for me at that time. I value integrity, loyalty as well. And I believe that what we say and what we do has to match in order to deliver, credibility and to build trust. Okay?
So Eva.
Tell me.
Rather than just waffling on, I'm going to steer this.
You know, if I talk too much, you stop me, James, because that is very likely I'm beginning to get nervous and I can talk and talk and talk, but I don't really am fully present.
Yeah.
And I'm getting
Right,
red.
So you're originally from Spain,
Yes, I am.
but you're not in Spain.
No, I'm not. Actually, I'm not in Spain. I'm actually in London. But we moved to the UK, actually to Scotland, to Glasgow. We moved there in 2005. And why I say we is because I have a 21-year-old daughter. And when we moved to Glasgow, she was 5. So I had to bring her on my own, which brought the added challenges in my life, which I had to overcome with great difficulty. But I thank God that I've managed to come this far, and I'm very proud of my daughter and what she's doing and how she is. So despite all the difficulties, they are there for us to grow and to learn about ourselves and others and to become better people overall.
So how old is she now?
She's 21.
All right.
Yes, she's 21.
Wow.
My little girl.
But she's with you now or somewhere else?
She came home for the holidays, but she lives in Kent during the academic year since she's studying there. So this year and last year, they were very messy. So things are a little bit. It was very difficult for me when she moved to university, because we've been together all this time, just the two of us. And when she had to move, that was very hard for me to.
So which university did she go to?
She's in Kent University, and she's doing music business and production. It's more on her artistic side.
She didn't want to come on today and watch you?
Well, you know what? She's been working on her essay that she had to send in today, for yesterday and today. So she's just gone to bed just before I log in. She said, are you having that now? I'm just rushing to bed. I said, okay, that's fine. So I think that it wouldn't be fair of me to ask her to join.
Oh, she can see the recording anyway.
Absolutely. I will have her watching it. No doubt.
So from Spain to Glasgow, I mean, that's a bit of a difference. So what made you go to Glasgow?
Well, what made me go to Glasgow in particular, I never imagined myself to go to Glasgow. That wasn't planned. But I went through a divorce, which was very hard. And I had a choice to either stay back in Spain with my parents and bring my daughter up on my own, or, going away. So because of how it affected me health-wise, I had to make a decision to move abroad. And during the first year, my daughter spent it with my parents. And the moment I settled working for an own business, actually, it had to do with furniture, solid wood furniture, just gorgeous, beautiful. I worked there for 2 years. Then that's when I decided to, okay, Ruth, you come here, you stay with mom. And I organized the schools and everything. And that was the main reason. And why Scotland was because I before moving to Scotland, I used to work for 2 different British academies in Spain. And I was teaching English as a foreign language to children and to teenagers. And over there, I met a colleague who decided to go to Edinburgh, like a year exchange work experience for her to teach Spanish. And she knew about, my divorce and the difficulties that I was facing back then, saying, Eva, you know what, your health is top priority, and you have a child now. It's not like you are on your own. What did you plan to do? Because staying there is no good, which I already knew. And going to Paris, I have this sense of responsibility. I have a child. I have to look after my child. I can't leave it to my parents to do the job. They have already done that with me. So, I took it and I said, let's go. And she recommended me a couple of friends, and I got in touch with them. And that is how it all, opened the door and said, Eva, you come here, you have a place to stay. So don't worry about that for the meantime. And they helped me with translating my CV, organizing all that. And that's where I first, before I went to that store, I worked for a mental hospital that was out in the middle of nowhere, and it was winter, no signal on my mobile phone. Guess how long I spent there? 2 days. That's all. I called and said, I'm very sorry. I don't see myself continuing. It's not safe for me either. And, it's better that I do something. And then, that same day, I came across this advert about, looking for a sales assistant at this particular store. I had an interview the next day. And on that day, they told me, you stay, we want us to join. And it was all very quickly. So it was like set up for me to do that way. I was very excited about the experience because I wanted to improve my language, but also I wanted to understand the mentality of the English people when they want to buy products. What is it that they look for? What is important to them? How they think and how they process the information. And that helped me as well to build my social skills with people that we don't share language. It's not, my mother tongue. And culturally, we're all very different. But I always loved.
So where was this?
Oh, this was in 2005.
Yeah, but where?
Where? In Glasgow.
In Glasgow, because you said English. You should have said Scottish. People.
Well, yes, I'm sorry, Scottish. Well, there were a lot of English people there. And I know the story and the rivalry between them. So, I don't pay much attention to that.
There's a few questions to ask then. So how did you like the climate change from Spain to Scotland?
Because I come from the very north of Spain, over there it's cold,
Right.
So the greatest difference and challenge for me was to...
Okay. And what about...
Just the snow. Great.
What about the accent? And because you said that you were teaching English as well. So when you heard the Glaswegian accent.
Oh my God, that took me some time to, my boss, every time we had a conversation, he was, I. And, in the beginning, I thought, my God, is something wrong with him? But I didn't dare to ask.
Yeah.
And one day I thought, hey, I have to ask you this. Are you hurting? Is it something wrong with you? And he looked at me and said, why do you say that? Man, you keep on saying I. And in my understanding, when I say I, it's like, I'm sore, there's something bothering me. And he started laughing, saying, no, I is yes. I thought, okay. And when I went to open a bank account, the lady was very nice, explained everything I needed to. I had a friend with me, and I did not understand a single word. Her speed was so, I doubt if that was English. So I let her.
So you were actually teaching the Scottish how to speak English?
No, but I tried my best. Yeah. Not officially, but in a friendly way, perhaps.
So did you pick up any of the accent then?
No, I did not, because but I never do.
How long were you there for?
7 years.
7 years?
7.
Yeah, so you must know some kind of Scottish lingo then.
I can only remember the I and lassie, and I can't think of anything.
You canny Ben?
Yes, and well, the F word is like every 3 normal words, there is an F word.
Oh, yeah.
At least, in my work environment, I was like, oh my God, this is like, this is not the place for me. You somehow handle it, let's say like that.
And then you had your fish supper on Friday?
Yes, not every Friday, but yes. I remember trying the haggis and the black pudding, which I didn't know what it was. So I just went for it. And I thought I was going to be sick for the next 5 days. I couldn't, no. It's good to try, but just be aware that it can backfire you.
Okay, so fast forwarding. So from Scotland, how did you end up in London?
Well, because family is so important to me. And obviously I had a responsibility with my daughter. That was my immediate family. My dad was diagnosed with prostate cancer. Yeah. And I'm very close to my dad, which meant that I had to make a move. And there was a combination of 2 things. First of all, there was this crisis that started here down south. I think it was in 2008 or 2009, and only 2 years difference, it was very visible in Scotland. And that's where the company I worked for, which was an imports fresh produce company. So I stayed in the furniture store for 2 years, and then I wanted to go for a more challenging job, and I went for the food industry. So I was the import manager there, and I translated. I was in charge of food supply and organizing the storage, all that, which I really loved. And while I was there, I was told that you know, they were having to lay people off, and obviously the operations for importing became very different. So I wasn't essential in the sense that since the volume had dropped, they were more into buying from agents within the UK. That means that I wasn't required. I was also one of the last ones to be hired, so it was cheaper for the company, you know, to kick me out. And at that time,
When was this?
that was it started, I think, in 2009, 2010.
Okay.
Because we moved to London in 2011. So I gave myself like a year to see if I could find something in Scotland in order to avoid, you know, moving my daughter from school to school, which I didn't want to do that. But
So I guess you got fed up with men wearing skirts.
you know, that was actually the attractive bit of it. But you didn't see much of the skirts, you know. But I like the sense of humor that people have there. They're extremely friendly and warm, and they're very close to nature. So I really like you guys.
In Scotland.
Yes, I can say that. Yeah, absolutely.
And they don't wear underpants either.
I know that, but let's not get there. Let's not get there. That's like too much information, James. And I like their dances as well, and how they love.
Jig.
Yes, and how they love their poetry. So I did have to travel to Edinburgh quite often during the year, and love to see the difference between Glasgow and Edinburgh. Edinburgh seems like very, very different environments and people.
And the accent as well.
Very much so, yes. I found them easier to understand. Can you believe that?
Oh, they are. It's a softer accent.
Mm-hmm. They're more refined. I don't know how to put it so that I don't offend anyone from Glasgow. There's nobody from Glasgow here, right? Then I'm good. But, you know, that is the time that I spend there. And because of my dad and how that came around, I started applying to jobs in England, and I went to a few interviews that didn't, you know, work well for me or for them. And eventually I thought, okay, you know what, let's try something from scratch, something totally new, like a startup business. Even if I'm not the one starting it up, I want to have that experience because I had, you know, a lot of contacts to do that. And I came across a company that opened here in Spitalfields Market. It was also linked to food. So the only difference is that they were the growers and they wanted to open their business in London to bring produce from their own crops, but also source from other countries in order to bring it to the UK and distribute all around the world. That was throughout the whole year. So over there, I was in charge of...
So this is what you're currently doing?
No, you will find out a huge shift. So, yeah,
okay. I'm waiting for the shift because
yes. Then let's go to it, yeah, because I only worked there for a few months, and I was very disappointed. It was a very hard experience. And that's when I had the first and the strongest cultural shock.
Yeah.
Where I thought, you know, when it comes to business, it doesn't matter where you are from, what your sexual orientation is, what your political view is, or what your religion or whatever. I don't care. I think business is business, irrespective of all that. But I was wrong, you know, or I met the group of people that they look things in a different way. So, yeah, I had to leave that.
But now you're in London. There are other people that you could meet up with. I mean, or virtually meet up with. I mean, Walter's in London.
I know. We have to arrange some, you know, Zoom meeting. That would be really refreshing.
Oh, and Sheila's in London also. Sheila's in London.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Then we should meet, you know, and agree for one day. I mean, I'm not forcing it. I will never, ever do that. I think that without intention to, people must have felt forced to. And I have put a lot of myself into things that I shouldn't have.
Okay, so after these kind of bad experiences with this company, was there kind of an aha moment that you thought, well, I want to do something
Yes.
that's just more me now, and people like-minded, and how I can
Yes.
do something different?
Well, I think I did a lot of volunteering. So I worked with children. I volunteered in secondary school. Then I started working as a private tutor for Spanish in a community library. So I'm very, I like the community, people, and helping. But it became really, really, really hard and very unreliable. So it added a lot of stress. And I have had accumulated all that through my life in many different areas. So I had a total breakdown at the end of 2018. And in January, I was taken to the hospital. And on the 7th, I was diagnosed with leukemia, which is an acute type of blood cancer.
Wow.
So 2019 was a year of really hard treatment and putting myself first. Now, that is the most enriching year for my life because it made me view life in a very different way. I had to learn to forgive people and to forgive myself because I realized that I had put a lot that wasn't mine on myself. It also took me back to my childhood as to analyze why I made the choices that I made during the course of my life and where the root of it was. And it was all, rooted in my childhood. And, that was a huge shock for me. But when I understood that I couldn't do it any other way because I was a child, I wasn't able to understand many of the things. And even whenever I wanted to ask for help, I was just shut down. And I always knew I was different. Don't ask me how, but I just knew, I was just not like whatever was around me. So a lot of things have changed in my inner world, and I see people and life in a different way. So I healed most of that or everything.
But
And
how are you now physically? I mean,
physically, I'm well, but I have to actually pay attention to what my body tells me. So there are times that if it tells me that, I should just slow down a little bit, I would do. Whereas that I wouldn't be able to do it before. I was just like, go, 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 because I had the need, the responsibility. So I was weighing on me so much. But now I don't, and I'm not scared to say no, and I can say it very respectfully. I don't have to explain myself, and it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay not to comply with everybody.
so this must have affected the job and everything else that you were doing at the time.
Yes, I had to cut it off. Actually, I remember the words from the doctor where he said, Eva, stop everything, everything. And then he said, what do you mean? What do you mean? I can't stop everything. So that was my phew going. I said, no, you have to take it seriously.
But did you have to go to a clinic or something? Or...
No, I stayed in the hospital for 2 months plus. And then my whole journey was every week I had to go to the hospital twice for my chemotherapy treatment. So by the time I arrived home, I only had strength to sleep, eat. I couldn't even cook for myself. So I had the blessing of, receiving blessings in the form of food that my friends have cooked for me. And then I would just warm up and eat and then sleep. So it was all, on that. So I learned to receive very much.
Okay, but now you've recovered from that. So I guess you're on it. Okay.
Yes, I still have to do my every 3-month test. Okay, so I had one in December and all was good. So I thank God for that. And I do believe that I am a miracle, and the way, when I look back and the way I took all the process where, I have the pick line in my arm that goes all straight to my heart. And that would be like a roast beef, all wrapped. And, the humor that I really have, I only discovered that, during that year. And I also learned to appreciate what other people do for each other. So
that's definitely a wake-up call when you're actually
very
in the
much
hospital
so, yes.
things sticking out of you or into you.
Yes. You wouldn't be able to sleep, and every hour they had to wake me up, and I was like, oh, please just do whatever you want because I cannot deal with it. But still have that strength,
So
within me.
this is kind of something that we tend to overlook is our health
Yes,
and our well-being. And
yes.
we tend to put up with too much stress for too long. And you might not see the physical effects on the outside, but on the inside, it's destroying you. Until a point comes that you kind of reach that pivot point that it's just all too much. But anyway, so the good thing is you're back to normal or whatever normal.
Yes, getting into that new normality
Your
for
new
me. So
now what do you do? Because I'm
I'll tell
interested
you.
in that.
Yes, you're interested in that, and so am I. So last year I had to recover physically and mentally in many different ways, many different levels. So the stage that I'm in now is that I discovered that I want to take a totally different path in my life, where it enables me to look after my health. That means that I'm not sacrificing my time and my energy and everything on anything in particular that is external to me. So I'm looking to develop something that works for me, whilst I can also help and be of support, inspiration, or whatever we want to call it, to others, because I do believe that we're here for a purpose, and the purpose is good, is for the betterment of oneself, which I had to go at high speed. And now, I want to share this with you. So yes, now I don't have any company. I'm not working for anybody, but actually the fact of me working on myself and having gone through all the transformation that I've been to and being able to connect with people at a deeper level, which is where everything starts, is extremely important. So the possible paths that are kind of appealing to me, or everything seems to be guiding me to, could be on the coaching side, either for companies or individual. I'm also very close to young people. I love working with young people, and they are facing their challenges. And I think because of my experience, there were things that could be avoided had I had some people open to, listen and share, which I didn't have that. So I understand that and the need of that. And the sooner we can tackle those things, the better it is for everybody. That's how I view it. And I want to develop my artist side, which has always been stopped by my dad, by the way. I forgive him, but we had a chat I had a good chat with my mom for her own way, and my dad. And yes.
So do you feel that you're clear on what you want to be doing?
Not 100% clear, James, and that's where I think I would need some kind of guidance of, which would be the best path for me, where I would be the most useful. It would enable me to grow as well as an individual, because that's what I believe in as well, and also help other people to grow, So I'm not 100% clear, but perhaps, there is something that I listened to today, or one of you, or many of you, or all of you, that say that magic thing that clicks and lights a fire.
Yeah, I think you're definitely in the right place, because there's a lot of like-minded people. So, so in that respect, there's people here to help, and people that have gone through their own kind of turning point or their own experience.
Yes.
And when you come across a community of people that think and feel the same, then you're not alone. And then there's people with different skill sets that can offer support, which in a lot of cases free support. So at least to listen initially, and then to find out if this is the way that you want to go, and help you kind of rekindle or rediscover yourself in the way that what is it that you have to offer, and the value that you can bring to others. Now, you've already mentioned a lot of them. But to actually capture them and to have that as a focus in the way that this is where I'm going to go, this is my passion, my desire, this is how I can help people. And then it starts to unfold and kind of make sense. Now, looking at kind of what you offer as well, just from knowing you here, I mean, the language skills, you talk also about business development and planning, the skills around that, but and also maybe your father distracted you from doing something that was a passion. I believe that we are all born with that passion, and we get shifted away from that through either school, education, parents, friends, if you call them friends, but and then we're easily influenced. So we don't often follow our path, we follow someone else's path. And so just saying that there are people here, particularly on this call, actually that could help you. And the guy that's actually below you in particular, I don't know if you see the seams that green as me, but I see Walter sitting behind underneath.
Oh, I see.
Do you see Walter under you? He's looking up your skirt now. So.
Oh, Walter, please.
Walter. But anyway, there are people that could definitely help. And then once you kind of know your direction, then it's easier to offer your services because you know what you're offering.
Yes.
But otherwise, you can say, I can do this, I can do that, I'm good at this, and whatever. But it's just bits and pieces.
I know.
And you need it to be very focused. And then you think, well, who needs what I have to offer?
I totally understand that. And I think that because of what I have gone through, I have developed a great interest in anything to do with health, with what I eat, lifestyle in many ways, and also how the behavior, psychological side of things when we were children, how it affects our life. I agree with you that I was deterred in my life when I wanted to do things, like for instance, sports has always been something that I loved. Then I wanted to do biology, and then we had to move back to Spain because we did live in South Africa for part of my teenage years. And although I enjoyed that, I had somehow some plans for myself and life changed. And then when I was back in Spain, I wanted to do nutrition. As I couldn't do that straight ahead, I went for chemistry to move on to organic chemistry to do the nutrition course, which back then you could only do in the States or in London. And when I came up with the idea to my parents, that I wasn't supported, let's put it like that. So I had to change path and I went to business administration. That's why I spent a lot of my time in the business world, which I really enjoyed, but it doesn't light my fire, if that, to put it like that,
So, just on this call, in the comments, which you probably look at later.
Oh, I'm not having, wait a minute. I'm sorry, guys, when I cannot do two things at the same time for some.
No problem. I'll copy the notes across anyway, so you can look at them later. But there's some, good advice that's already coming in. People mentioned, Julia mentioned Ikigai, Julia mentioned that as well. I actually went through my own experience, and Ikigai was introduced to me when I was at my turning point, and I got introduced to it then. And actually on the wall behind this poster is my Ikigai on the wall. And I studied that for 5 years. But that's just one philosophy. There's tons of other things that you can do to help find yourself, and maybe not just one way of direction. You could speak to a number of different people here. They all have some value. I know with what Walter does, with what Julia does, and others, then you can definitely, even, Pete talks about finding your why before you brand yourself, because you can't brand yourself if you don't know who you are. Otherwise, you don't know what you're wearing. So, everybody has something that they can contribute to this, and everybody's gone through some sort of situation that's made them think twice about what they're doing in life. But so, yeah, I mean, I want to open this up now to the audience. So
Yes.
you can ask them questions, they can ask you questions. And what is it that you particularly want now in a community like this? So then people, that they can reach out to you and help, or you help them.
Well, I think that perhaps you have very briefly seen the kind of person that I am, in the sense that I'm very willing to listen and I will give my best advice. I'm a great motivator because I practice it with myself, and I know that it's not easy all the time, but it's very important and necessary not to depend on external motivation. So the fact of you being able to develop your own self-motivation is very important. So I'm open to that. And I'm very interested in trying to explore more into the arts, like expressing. Like I say, communication is very important, but right now in these days we are very limited, you know, and a lot of censorship is there, so you don't really have that freedom of speech as we understand it. And I realized that, therefore, I came to realize that there are many different ways of expressing ourselves, our ideas, that are common for other people, and I'm exploring that. So I'm very bad with technology, so I'm very interested in video producing, you know, making videos, cutting. I've developed over my illness and till day a great passion for photography, and I can actually shoot something and build up a story based on that with a learning lesson, and I really enjoy that, and I've shared a few with some close friends, and I had very good feedback. I've also considered writing a book, but in a creative way. I know I want to do something totally different from what we see. So there are skills that I don't have, so I probably have to need some help on those.
Okay, so let's open this up to the audience. And I know,
Yes, of
I
course.
know just from meeting you and you coming on these and meeting Maya for the very first time when she was a guest speaker. I mean, the way that you interacted with a complete stranger and the relationship that you've built up together just from an event like this has been magical. And then I love it when I see both of you on here, because I know that chemistry between you, yet you're complete different strangers in different countries with different backgrounds and everything else. So everything is possible. And I don't say just go and speak with one person, speak with everybody, and then build up kind of that picture of where is it that you want to go and how you can influence and affect other people's lives, which you can do. And there isn't one kind of golden ticket. It's about working with everyone. So that said, I mean, if you've got any questions to the audience or any questions from the audience to you.
I'm open to any question that anyone has. I'm very straightforward.
So Maya, I know, I don't know, I'm just speaking for you now about the relationship. I mean, what do you think?
The first day I met Eva was on the event, like the first time I talked about myself, and she had this incredible aura that she just was so positive. And even when I showed the video to my flatmates, they were all focused with her, like, who is that girl? And I was like, I don't know, it's the first time I meet her. And then we started emailing, and I really fell in love with her personality. And I know that she's a very good listener and she has very good advices. I was a little bit shocked when she told me that she's a mother of a 21-year-old girl. She looks so young. Look at her. She's so bright.
You could be her daughter because you're only 18, aren't you?
No, stop.
Okay.
Can't put away, daughter.
Oh, you could be sisters. Okay.
I'm really proud of you, Eva.
Thank you.
I know that you've been through a lot, but you are a very strong woman and very independent one too. So I believe in you, and I'm sure that you will do the best in this world, and you will mark your presence. So God bless you.
Thank you. High five, girl. It's always a joy to see you and to talk to you. You see, James, this is the thing that I have with young people overall. You know, I seem to have some magnetic magnetic thing.
Yeah. It's lucky I'm young, isn't it?
Of course, James. Whoever doubts that, you tell them to talk to me. I'll put them in the right place.
But anyway, so 𝗬𝗪𝗧 is also a place, I mean, as Ida and Victoria will vouch for, is a place of a community of people that think the same and that they're here to help. And it's not just about me trying to match you up with people, it's about 𝗬𝗪𝗧 supporting that, and also people on this call.
Yes,
because it's all about helping one another, because we all go through different challenges, and we've all of us have got a story to tell. And it's not easy, but if you come together with people that have a passion for helping one another, it doesn't have to cost. It could be something that's a mutual beneficial kind of agreement that you have that's going to support one another. So any questions from anyone else or observations? Victoria?
Yeah, I have a question. So you said that you shared those pictures and the stories with your friends, but have you ever shared it with a broader audience?
No, I haven't.
And why not?
I didn't see the opportunity, and because back then it was so close to my heart, I think I wasn't ready back then to share it with the larger community. But now I am more open to that, okay? So I have embraced that. It's a cycle of my life, and if I can use it and it could inspire or benefit other people, I'm very open to it. But I haven't had the opportunity, and I don't have the if there is any technology that I would require, I don't even know where to start. So from that, I'm answering your question. No, I haven't. What would I need to do? What is needed for me to do that? Because I'm very open to do that. So
yeah. So Edmund has made a nice comment on there as well. And I mean, he said, the key and first and foremost is to believe in yourself and take it from there. So I know.
Thank you.
I think he's a little bit shy, so he doesn't want to actually say it. But I mean, he sits there quietly, but what comes out of his, I mean, from his
He's
head,
genuine. He's genuine. That's it, isn't it?
beautiful.
Oh, thank you,
Yeah, so,
Edmund.
but it's true. If you don't believe in yourself, it's very difficult. Edmund, do you want to say something?
Yeah, Eva, very, very interesting listening to you.
Thank you.
My first and foremost question is, I mean, it is clear you have experience and have been involved in many things.
Yes.
But with all these things you have been involved in, what was the thing that really sort of like got your attention?
I would tell that everything that I was involved in was around the fact that I had a responsibility as a mother to provide for our needs. So it was not much about me. It was more about the need that I had to cover. So whatever fire I had, like James said, that sometimes we lose that as we grow. That is where I found myself, that I lost it. And you know, building up slowly and finding out what is it that lights my fire, that I'm passionate about. Because I know that once I find that, I am going to be going straight for it, and you know, there's going to be no limitation whatsoever, and I'll be giving my very best. So I don't know if that answers the question.
Yes, it's very, very interesting answer you gave there. I mean, still you are, to me, it seems like you are still seeking and searching high and low, wide and deep in order to find exactly what you really want to put your hands into. And for me, it sounds like, I mean, but I am in no doubt that you, once you find the spark, it will really propel you forward. I have no doubt about it. But okay, let me sort of like ask a question from a different angle.
Yes.
If you would have the possibility to open the door and say, this is what I want to, this is what I need to walk into my life, what would it be?
That makes me think quite a lot. The first thing that the first thing that comes to my mind is for me to be myself. And I am more of that now that I can express myself without any, limitations or the fear of being misunderstood or anything like that. This is who I am. This is what I believe in. I'm very happy and available to help people, but without paying the high price that I paid in the past with my own self. So I like to have that harmonious dance, if I may say. So there's nothing I would say, I cannot say clearly. I know that I'm into the art and expression and communication with message that helps us learn something that is practical in our lives. That I have that very clear.
So if someone comes to you with an issue, whatever the issue may be, are you the kind of person who will say like, I will help you?
I would listen, I would ask a lot of questions, and then I'll share based on what I know and my experience and everything. I say, this is what I would say to you, having in mind that I want the best for you. Okay, and that is what I would do, which is what I have been doing as well as a teacher for the last few years.
Right. Yeah, very, very super interesting.
Thank you.
So some people had to jump off now for other calls, but they've left some really nice comments, which I'll save across as well. So
I want to say something before I have to disappear as well.
Yeah.
Eva, first of all, thank you very much for sharing your story.
Thank you for coming.
And I would like to congratulate you on your life experience. As harsh as it may have been, but it is yours, and it has helped you to build very valuable resources.
It's making me emotional.
And now you have the gift of time, and you have the gift of choice. So if I can give you any recommendation, is take the time and look around and use your choices. As James said, there are people to connect here. You still haven't told me your postcode.
I have to, sorry.
Okay, and we can continue the conversation.
Yes.
One last point I want to say is, you mentioned something about your artwork has to do with pictures and videos. Is that right?
Yes, I took photographs because I had so much time and I had to focus on things that made me happy. Nature is something that takes me to a higher place within myself, and I observe quite a lot. So there's a lot of things that I have, a great collection of photographs and little videos, and then I write what they meant to me and what I learned from that. And whenever I had to share, I share that with very close people. They say, oh, Eva, it's so good. You should either write a book or do something with this information. But like I said earlier on,
the technology.
Yes, the technology is one of the things that I am not very
familiar with. Here's my suggestion for you. I work with a wonderful guy, and he's, I think a lot of people in my life who are quite good and helpful are called James. One is here.
Ooh, James, that goes for you too.
and there is another James who is part of my virtual team, and he is originally an experienced photographer, and he takes video shots and editings, etc. If you want, and he's also based in London.
Okay.
If you want, I can help you to connect and just ask for technical advice.
Yeah,
I'm sure he will help you. He's a great guy.
I'd love that, Walter.
Yes, and one more last thing is just allow yourself to, for the things that come to you, to fall into a place. Yeah, you know what it means. You know what it feels like when you push yourself and rush. And I have to allow it to come together. It will come together.
Thank you. That is very meaningful to me because I
Let's have
understand
this
that.
virtual coffee soon. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, of course.
Okay. All the best then. Yeah. Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you, Walter. Thank you.
𝗬𝗢, I'll just share a couple thoughts. One is thank you for being vulnerable. I'm glad you realize that you're in a safe place, and the people that are on this call care about each other. So it's nice that you felt comfortable enough to share your story. I agree a lot with what Walter has said, which is, you know, you're the summation of everything that you've experienced, and that's a really generous life that you can share. I also believe that God puts things on our hearts, and that we should, you know, not be afraid to take a step when we feel passion about things like that. But the other thing I learned over the last, you know, maybe 10 years is that there's always enough time. So don't feel rushed in doing anything. Don't feel like you have to get it done immediately. But, you know, move at a methodical pace that feels right for you. And if life gets in the way, you just put it on pause and then you pick it back up. But, you know, happy to continue the conversation in a group or in a personal setting. I don't know if there's anything specific I can help you with, but I'd be more than happy to. But as James shared earlier, I absolutely believe we have to understand why we exist and why we do what we do before we can do anything and be authentic about those things.
Yes.
So I see a lot of authenticity in who you are, which is a beautiful and wonderful characteristic. So yeah, just go at a pace that feels right for you, and you know, we're here to support you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for pointing out the pace, because that's one of the things that I struggled the most with, especially because I used to live such a high speed and it was never enough. And now I understand why God, because I believe in God, stopped me there and said, girl, you just have to sit still and know that I am God. And just, you know, everything will be. So I've learned about that a lot. Do I have the times where I feel I have to run? Yes, I do. But now I acknowledge it and say, okay, Eva, you have to allow things to give it time. When we plant a seed, we need water, good soil, and sun. And you go the next morning, you don't have the tree or you don't have the plant, so it needs time. And I think that I surrender. I'm learning to surrender to the reality that you know, there's a pace and a time for everything, and that it's no good taking it on myself, like I have to push things. I believe that too. So I thank you very much for reminding me that.
Yeah,
Nice.
I've learned that lesson, and it's held me in good stead in the last decade. So yeah, definitely don't feel like you need to rush, and it sounds like you already know that. So just good to reinforce.
Thank you. High five.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we've actually run out of time now. We've come to the end. And Eva, thank you very much for being our 31st guest, our first one of the year. First one of the year, but our 31st or 30, yeah, 31st.
31 and 21.
Yeah. So sorry?
31 and 21.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, 10-year difference.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for Paul to be a guest.
Oh,
and,
Paul, you need to be soon, eh?
and Julia also.
Yes.
Yeah, we need to hear from both of you.
Because this is Julia's. So Julia, just quickly to you, because this is your first one, what do you think?
No, first of all, thank you so much for sharing your story. It was a beautiful story, and it was a pleasure to meet all of you. And I really like the format. It's interactive, it's authentic, and just really nice to hear everybody's point of view in the comments as well. And mutual value, like learning from each other. Yeah.
I try not to make our guests cry.
No.
We put the blame on somebody else.
They normally make me cry.
Oh.
And I really think it's a talent how you can connect so easily online. I personally find it very hard, but it just flowed so easily for you. I think that's a talent in itself, to be able to connect easily with people.
Thank you. I don't feel like that, you know. I don't feel like that. I feel it's very strange to look in the camera, and I like to have this physical nearness, you know, because it allows us to look into each other's eyes, and we can read so much about the person through that. And over here, I just see a camera, but I don't look at you in your eyes, and that's very bizarre. But
we still have that warmth.
Yes, you understand. Yes, that's right.
So Julia,
I'll
would you
just say
like?
one thing, Dane, before we sign off. To Eva, the word that came to me as I was listening to you, and I thought I needed to share it with you, resilience. And I think another way of saying it is bounce back. And you have a tremendous bounce back ability, and that's inspiring for me. I think all of us human beings have been through some kind of struggle or whatever. But I agree with Julie that kind of light up the Zoom conference is quite interesting. You kind of have this kind of like a glowing light that flows out to all the branches. It's quite a
Thank you.
But don't forget that word resilience and bounce back. I think there's something in there for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I think, I mean, what you've said and taking bits and pieces out of kind of the story that unfolded, I mean, there's a lot of passion and things inside you that you're yet to bring out. You've got a passion for nature, sports, people, and working with like-minded people and offering something of value. Now, how you package that up is another thing.
Correct.
And yeah, because everybody has something to offer someone. There's always a need for something, but you need to find out. I mean, I always say there's 4 things. Who you are to start with. If you don't know who you are, you don't know what you have to offer. So who you are is in all the value, the assets, the attributes, all the things that you love and you're good at and that have that desire for. And then who would be interested in what you have to offer? What problem are you solving for them? And then if they work with you, kind of what results will they get if they work with you on that? And then it's about packaging it up in a way that you can actually market it and make a business out of it. Now, it doesn't mean you have to do it on your own.
No, not at all. I understand that.
You have to know yourself first. So, I mean, we always say that before you look for clients, well, what is it that you're going to offer these clients? I mean, who are the clients? And so you need to know what it is that you have to offer, which sometimes means taking a step backwards to rediscover yourself before you can then go forward. And I mean, there are people, I mean, as I said, you could speak to any one of us or all of us individually and then start building out kind of that picture of who you are. Even if you followed some philosophies like Ikigai and you start just mapping it out. What are all the things I'm good at? What are all the things that, I really have a passion for, and I've always had that passion for, but nobody's let me explore that passion because they've put me in a box and said, you can't do that. You've got to do what I want you to do. And then once you start discovering that, it opens a whole new world to what you can actually offer. And yours could go down the photography video route. It could go down a sports route. It could go down a whatever route you want it to be. But you have to be clear on that. Otherwise, it's just a load of jumble in your head. And you need to kind of map it out and put some sense to it and then make a plan. But anyway,
I agree.
Edmund's just coming back and we're just about to go now. So yeah. So Edmund, any final words? Anyway, so we're going to just wrap this up now. So thank you again, Eva. Thank you, Julia, for your first time. So I hope to see you as a featured guest at some point as well.
Yes,
if you'd be up for
nice.
that, would you be up for that? Yes, good, excellent. Right, and yeah, also Paul, both the Pauls.
Yes.
that haven't been guessed yet, and Edmund also. So just let me know. We'll pencil it in. Right. So on that note, thank you again, everybody that participates on these weekly shows. I think it is great fun to get to know each other on a more personal note, rather than just the business. As I said, you don't need a business to have to come on here, because it's about getting to know the person, right? And if we're all in a community, it's nice to know who's in that community and a little bit more about them. So then it's easier to reach out. So thank you very much. Have a fantastic weekend. And yeah, feel free to connect with us or with Eva.
Yes, you're more than welcome. Very welcome. And thank you very much for everyone to come.
Right, and I'll see you all with our mystery guest for next week.
Chan, chan, chan.
Mystery means there's nobody that's signed up yet, I think.
Pete, Pete, can you be so kind to get in contact with you over Skype, please?
Yeah, but I'm jumping on a call. I don't think you mean right now, right?
No, as soon as you have time. But yeah, I just sent you a little message with my Skype ID.
Okay, we'll do, Embed. Thank you so much.
All the best, Mike.